What's going on, everyone? Welcome on into today's video. I wanted to kind of cover how to utilize some of the features on Unusual Whales under the Flow tab. So some of the unusual options flow, for those who are not familiar, Unusual Whales essentially offers insight to unusual options trading activity and a lot of options in trading data that is not necessarily visible on the surface of, let's say, a stock chart and whatnot. This could be useful as people believe that there is potentially insider information, or always somebody knows something, or where the big money is moving, and potentially may want to follow the big money or want to play the contrarian side and go against what maybe the crowd and the majority of people are doing on specific stocks. And so you can utilize Unusual Whales to determine those things. And we're going to kind of cover that here in today's video on how this all works and how you can utilize this to your advantage. So first things first, I want to do a quick run through of a test, screener that I like to use. So our test filters. So I have it set to test 1. And the reason why I did this is just because these are the types of things that I would be more interested in. You'll find that there could be massive trades on deep in the money contracts. But to be honest, those contracts trade, it's giving a trader or someone leverage, let's say, on a position better than shares, but they don't necessarily mean too much to me. What means more is if somebody is making a short-term to medium-term bet on an out-of-the-money contract with huge size. That's saying, hey, somebody might know something or something's up here, and I might want to keep my eyes open and look at this stock a little bit deeper, okay? And so Unusual Whales has a lot of ways to kind of filter through that. And so if we look through, for example, I have gone to the filters tab underneath, let's see if I go back to it, underneath the live flow. So if I'm watching the live flow during a day, okay, I'm going to make sure that I have filters set to only show me things that I want to see. So for example, I only want to see, let's say, stocks, and I don't want to see ETFs. I don't want to see SPY because there's going to be a lot. SPY, QQ. I don't want to see indices. I just want to see mostly stocks, okay, at the end of the day. I want to see premium of $100,000 or more, meaning that I want to see people taking position sizes of over $100,000. This is now, we're not talking about the small fish. We're talking about the bigger fish. Obviously, you can have retail traders that take positions of over $100,000 for, let's say, day trades and for short-term scalps, sure. But I still want to use some sort of filter there, okay? And $100,000 on, let's say, out-of-the-money Tesla contracts could be telling. And this right here is DTE, data expiration. I have it set to 35 days just to give me about a little over a month or so of time. And that DTE is right here, and it will show you on the option contract or the live flow of the unusual activity that's coming through. Beyond that, there's a lot more you can customize. I mean, you guys can go ahead and do this yourself. I don't want to bore you with, my specific settings necessarily, but I'm just showing you kind of how you can go ahead and do this. Going deeper down, I want to only see out of the money. I want to exclude deep in the monies. Okay, I just found that the deep in the monies can skew the numbers, and you can kind of get a lot of huge options numbers or options data flow that come in, and you're like, whoa, $10 million, oh, $100 million, and you're like, oh, it's just an in the money contract that's a year out for Tesla. And it's like, well, that's essentially someone just taking some leverage and buying some deep in the money Tesla calls, and if Tesla goes up, it'll probably do better than what their shares would have done. So it gives them a little bit of leverage, and you can use a little bit less money to do so potentially. So I'm not really a big fan. If I'm a trader, I want to look at, what's happening now. Are people making bets for the next, couple weeks out? And are they out of the money, meaning that they think that the stock has the potential to go up or down, in a substantial fashion to make those contracts more worth or higher value in time. So quickly speaking on the right-hand side, when it comes to the emojis, this is just showing me now, like, okay, I have clean this out to only showing me the stuff I want to see. Tesla is littering the page. There's a lot of action on Tesla, tons of volume right now. It's pretty volatile stock, obviously. So no wonder it's littering the page. But there are other ones. NVIDIA's in there too, and we can kind of see that it's most, here it comes, SQ, Microsoft. On the right-hand side, it'll give you a neutral, bullish, or bearish. What does it mean? For those who are confused on this stuff, essentially, if someone is, let's say this right here, Tesla, this highlighted, let's go have this highlighted contract. So we have a Tesla contract. It tells me the time and the date that it went through, okay? We have a 207.5 put, okay? Tesla is currently trading, I believe, a little bit higher than that, like right pretty close to that spot. Here, 208.45 is where Tesla trades at. 22 days till expiration. It tells me the exact contract, the date, March 3rd, 2023. The current bid and ask of that contract. How expensive is that contract right now? The spot price, the price this person paid, which was at the ask, which was 14.45, which was, again, bid here, ask here. 100 contracts, and it cost them $145,000. Okay. Now, this exclamation point says volume greater than open interest. It'll tell me the OI, which is the open interest on that contract. Okay. So when we see volume greater than open interest, Unusual Whales will flag that, and it tells me, hey, there's a lot of people, there's someone that just slapped some large volume on this contract. This is unusual, essentially, right? Now, the bearish and the bullish. Okay, we have the mid, bid, ask, all that. And sometimes they'll give you even a sector here. Semiconductor sector is NVIDIA, is what that means right there. Bearish is telling me because somebody got filled on the bid for these calls. What does that mean? The example I was talking about with this stock right here apparently is bearish. Now, we'll get to that in a second. Why? Because if I am going to buy a put at the ask, okay, that means I want to get filled. I'm going to get filled. Now, it's not a huge deal necessarily to think of it that way. An order gets filled on a very volatile contract. You can get filled at the bid or the ask. But when someone gets filled at the ask, that means that they want to get in potentially. And when you're getting filled at the bid, that potentially means you want to get out. Because when you're looking to sell a contract, whether it's a call or put, and you just put it to the bid price, you're going to get filled immediately, essentially. So something to keep in mind. And so that's why they're coming up with the bearish versus the bullish. But again, I have found that that doesn't necessarily mean too much on highly liquid contracts. It depends upon a lot of things, but it's, again, useful to watch, okay? So if I click on this this specific situation or this stock, like Tesla, I go to Tesla, for example, I pop Tesla up, it's going to give me a lot more information. So here's Tesla, the price of the stock the past couple of days, and it shows me the bearish or bullish option volume, green being bullish and red being bearish, and it shows you kind of how that plays out. If we go deeper down, you can kind of see this chart of the past day, and we can see that, the put and call volume, calls in green, puts in red. If I hover over the put, it'll just show me those. Hover over the call, we have those, and if I go over the underlying price, that shows me the price of Tesla throughout the day. You can change those, go to put call premiums versus volume. Premiums are just really meaning like how much money was spent on these, and if you have more money spent on bearish positions versus bullish positions, and we can see that someone slapped some pretty big puts right here, and then end up potentially cashing in if they sold that if it was a day trade because it trended down the rest of the day or pretty much the rest of the day on Tesla. Going deeper below this, it tells you the most active chains, so the most active option chains. So where are we seeing the most volume? Okay, usually they're on the 1 day or the short-term expirations for a very volatile stock like that. Chains with the highest open interest. And then we have the biggest trades and the biggest movers down here at the bottom on the individual stock page. Okay, so where are the biggest trades? Where are the biggest movers? And Unusual Whales has a bunch of different kind of like logos or icons that will tell you what these trades were. Are they part of multi-leg strategies? Because people don't necessarily, you can see an option go through, oh my gosh, someone paid millions of dollars for this position. But it could be that maybe somebody bought a strangle or a straddle on Tesla and they paid 25 million. Yeah, like you're going to pay a lot of money for that potentially, but your risk reward is not the same necessarily as if I bought out of the money Tesla puts or calls. I'm making a directional bet there, whereas on different option strategies, sometimes you might not be making you're selling premium. Maybe you're playing kind of a strangle, or you're playing a strategy where if Tesla kind of trades in a range, you'll make money. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. So they kind of try to filter some of that stuff out for you, which is certainly useful. So in a nutshell, go back to that live flow. In a nutshell, that's how it works. And that's how you can utilize Unusual Whales. I find it useful in this regard because, again, you can spot stuff that maybe, you maybe wouldn't have seen if you were just looking at price action. And again, if I'm looking at a stock and I'm looking at a chart, one night or 1 week, and I'm like, hey, I really like the chart of, let's say, NVIDIA. I might want to pull up NVIDIA here, go to the search bar, and start looking through some of the recent option flow. Bullish, is it bearish? At the top, it's going to tell me the closing price, all this information, put call ratios, okay, which is really cool. And then it tells me the put volume versus the call volume, call premium versus put premium, which is interesting. And then, of course, bearish and bullish premium as kind of flagged by unusual whales right there. Super cool stuff. Any questions, leave them up down below. I'll leave a link to unusual whales in the video description box if you want to check them out. And there's a lot more where that came from, but for the most part, this is what you need to know. And then you can kind of sort through alerts, flow, dark flow, and stuff as you go forward. But this is like the core of unusual whales and what it's all about and what it's mostly used for. I like to go ahead and say, hey, I like the chart of this stock, and I'll go back through, what about AMD? What's the recent option flow here, past couple of days, anything that I've seen that's fit my criteria? What am I seeing? Is it a lot of bullish or a lot of bearish? What are the strikes people are targeting and stuff like that? And then I can kind of gauge, what I want to do maybe the next day or the next week based off of some of this stuff. It could add as a, an extra indicator into a strategy. Thanks so much for watching. Thumbs up button, consider subscribing here to the channel, and we'll see you guys in a future video. Peace out.